to achieve impact by action. Now, some of you look at this and you go, I know what that is. That's a positioning statement. I've seen this before, especially in LinkedIn headlines, right? Which is, by the way, probably the worst possible use of this. If I see one, if I get pitch slapped in the LinkedIn DM one more time by somebody whose headline starts with, I help founders, I'm gonna throw my phone out the window, right? That's not what this is for. This is not a positioning statement. It is a filter through which you can decide everything that you're going to talk about and how you're going to talk about it, and it's a filter for your audience to understand how to talk about what you do and what exactly it is. If you've seen a version of this before, I guarantee you it's missing one of these three components. All three are necessary. And even if you've seen somebody use all three of these components, I guarantee you it is too vague to be useful. So I'm going to talk you through each of the three components, and you're going to actually build it now in real time before you leave the room. And in fact, I'm going to ask at least one person at some point to stand up and try it out loud with me. That's why I have a microphone. Okay. Here's a few examples before I teach you how the framework works. So, as you heard Neil say, in my day job, I do human connection. I do corporate culture, healthcare, patient experience. Somebody says to me, if somebody says to me, what do you do? And I say, I'm a human connection specialist, it will end the conversation. What is that, right? No. I work with mission-driven organizations to reduce costly turnover and attract top talent by creating cultures where everyone feels valued. That's my filter. What does that do for me? I know that if I'm about to make a newsletter, do a keynote speech, have an impromptu conversation, doesn't matter. If what I'm about to say does not immediately and obviously support that, it's not worth saying. Low trust, high noise. No one's got the time, and they're not going to give you a chance. So I stay on message by doing this. Here's two more examples. Fractional CFO for creatives. I help designers and photographers feel in control of their money by turning messy numbers into a one-page weekly dashboard. What do you do? Who's it for? Why does it matter? One sentence. Finally, here's another example. Story coach for startups. I teach seed stage founders how to land, that is not easy to say, seed stage founders, how to land their next round by turning jargon heavy pitch decks into clear, compelling stories. See how this works? See how nice this is? How easy it is? Okay, let's work through the three components one by one. Audience. Who's it for? Who is your work for? This is the I help, I teach, I guide, I work with. Try to jot down who your work is for. Just a real quick note right now. Who is your work for? The ultimate audience, the people it's eventually for. If you have to go through an intermediary, don't worry about that right now. That's the next level messaging where you have to deal with two audiences at the same time. Don't worry about that right now. Let's worry about the ultimate audience, the people it's ultimately for, your work. Now, here's how you make this more interesting. If you just put founders, if you just put professionals, this is not helpful. Not as helpful as it would be if you added a modifier. Overwhelmed, mission-driven, anxious. You've got to add something to it. Now, here's the key. Here's the key to the audience. This must be something they would raise their hand for in public. If you're in a room and you say, well, I'm looking for any, mission-driven tech founders, would they go, that's me, I'm a mission-driven tech founder. If you're going to say something like, I work with, I don't know, men in their 50s who lack confidence, are they going to raise their hand in public? Probably not. So they have to self-select for this, or this is not helpful, right? That might be who they are, but if they wouldn't self-select, it's not helpful, okay? So, you try to put down the audience. Now, next, impact. Why does your work matter? What's the outcome or the result? What's the outcome or the result of this? This is aspirational or universal. Aspirational means I want to become a different kind of person as a result of working with you or going on this journey. Universal is kind of everybody in this space, all these kind of people would all want this. You can pick one, aspirational or universal, right? So try for a second to jot down what's the ultimate result or impact of your work. And finally, action. What are you going to do? Not how do you do it, not your special sauce, not your trademark, not your differentiator. Just what are you going to do? Or help them do? Or go on this journey with? The action should be specific enough that not everyone wants to do it. I want to focus on that for a second. If it's something everybody would want to do, you haven't said anything interesting, too vague. If you think back to mine, Human Connection, I help, right, mission-driven organizations attract top talent by, what's my action? By creating cultures where everyone feels valued. Now, everyone in this room is probably like, well, yeah, that's something everybody wants to do. No, it's not. Do you know executives? Do you know folks who run big companies? I talk to a lot of executives. A culture where everyone feels valued is not something most executives want to do. In fact, a lot of companies are broken on purpose, right? So by me flagging, creating a culture where everyone feels valued, I immediately put my stake in the ground and people can self-select in. So I want you to try a second to create your filter statement. Super, super practical, really, really down to earth here. Here's 4 different ways to conceive of it. I help audience to action so that impact. If audience wants impact, we must action. In order to achieve impact, audience should action, or how this action surprisingly leads to this impact for this audience. It's just 4 different ways to think through it. I'm going to give you a second to think about that while we return to the question, because in a moment I'm going to ask somebody in the first couple of rows here to try to stand up and actually answer this question out loud. Here is the question on the table. What do you do? Now,